What's his name? Cory Arcangel. Yeah. No, I don't know who he is either. It's due in a week. So, hello everyone. You want to know about Cory Arcangel, the glitch artist from Brooklyn, New York. So, Brooklyn, born in Brooklyn, just like Jay-Z, who's an artist, I think.
Every night like the Mona Lisa, the modern day version with better features. Yellow Basquiat in my kitchen corner. Go ahead and lean on that shit, Blue. You own it, Oh, what a feeling.
I'm an authority figure on artists, books behind them, on artists. Well, that's cooking, but Cory Arcangel. Let's get this started.
All programs on computer are this is where you guys have to help me here, are data that's been compiled for the machine, right? And it's just a bunch of ones and zeros. And the funny thing that a lot of people don't know is you can then disassemble that, and then it becomes into sort of a language that you could understand, and then you can go futzing with all of that, and then reassemble it, and then it will do something a little bit different. And so the first thing I did was I made a mail program that I would install on all the computers at school. So when kids went to check their mail, the computer would shut down and the CD-ROM drive would open, and I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
Mr. Arcangel is perhaps best known for his work with video game glitch art. Some examples of these are
I actually met Cory Arcangel when we were working together for a movie in Los Angeles. He's from Brooklyn originally, and he moved out to LA, and I took one look at his Super Mario glitch, and it was the most fantastic piece of art I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, the Beatles were the master of harmony in their music. Well, this guy's the master of going in there and fucking around with a video game and making Mario appear on a brick, and he's the best at that. So he's my favorite guy who does stuff like that.
You could take apart a Nintendo cartridge, and there's two chips inside of it. And one is a program chip, and one is a graphics chip. And essentially, a video game, the program chip tells the graphics to move around, and that's what becomes the game, right? And so by soldering different chips back into these cartridges, I've done a lot of projects which kind of just screw with video games in different ways. Some of them are where I just change the graphics of a video game, which is called a graphics hack, which is very easy. And I hope that you guys could come away with this lecture knowing that it isn't so hard to do. Another kind of hack is a program hack, where you keep the graphics of the game the same, but you tell them to do different things. And the third kind of hack I wanted to talk about is where you just basically barely do anything to the game and keep it the same. And that's what I'm into right now, which is kind of a little bit too obscure, I think, but that's okay. And then the fourth kind of hack of a Nintendo game is just by writing something from scratch. But I wanted to talk about, the first thing is graphics hacks. So basically, you just leave the program of the game alone, and you switch the graphics. And so basically, you're just appropriating the program code from a game. And it's quite common, and you could do it to most games. You'd be surprised how many games are able to be modified.
Perhaps none of Cory's works are more well established than that of the Super Mario Brothers movie parody. Now, there's a common theme in Cory's work where you can't win. There's no way you can win in any of these games, and that's the point. They're glitched beyond repair. The whole notion of a video game is to overcome the odds and vanquish whatever stands in front of you, but in Cory's glitched video game versions, where he's gone into the cartridge, there is no success to be found.
It's kind of playing with people's attraction to technology. The centerpiece of the show is called Various Self-Playing Bowling Games. I think the easiest way to explain it is that it's, bowling games from the history of video game bowling, each which have been modified to roll only gutter balls. I'm attracted to these kind of dull moments that just happen over and over and over again. I think there's something inherently awkward about a lot of technology, and I think that somehow it's related to this constant failure. What I think I discovered with the golf, which I thought was kind of funny, is that when people line up to play it, if they were thinking not with their intuition, they would realize that it's rigged, because we're all so trained. Like, as soon as they line up to do that putt, it just totally shoots off to the side. Slowly they get more and more and more frustrated, even though like the wall label says it's rigged, the whole show is rigged. But I think it's that we're just conditioned that technology is going to try to do what we want.
So now we've seen most of Cory's most prolific work in the video game glitch genre, which I mostly wanted to focus on in this documentary. But lastly, looking at the legacy that Cory has laid out, you now start to see that someone who is seen as the master of parody has now become the parodied.
I don't know if any of you have seen these 10-hour YouTube videos this kid has been uploading. Have you seen this? No. It's brilliant. So it'll be like one little loop, right, or a couple loops, and he'll paste them over and over again into like a 10-hour video, and then he'll upload them to YouTube. So you'll go on YouTube and you'll hit play, and the video will just start going, and you realize that it's going to take 10 hours to play. And so to me, that's like, that is the ideal.
Sort of maxing out the possibilities, the technological possibilities, taking them to their limit.
Yeah, because that is actually a video on the server in some Google server farm, like taking up an enormous amount of hard drive space that actually doesn't have any content. You know what I mean? And that to me is like that. Literally, what this kid has done, I think, is like a high watermark of expression for right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I was kind of trying to get with these people in the audience who are literally making these technologies that.
Yes.
It's fun that they're creating new stuff, because then you could literally just use it for the stupidest purposes. Do you know what I mean?
That's
exactly what it's not supposed to be. This is a part of a series of sculptures I've been making lately, made from what are just called dancing stands. I was attracted to them because I thought what they looked like was the kind of particular era of design that I was interested in, which is kind of like 90s, kind of sharper image type of pre-iPad era techno design. This is a piece called There's Always One at Every Party. I've edited together every time the plot of Kramer's coffee table book about coffee table appears in the history of the Seinfeld series. To me, that seemed like Kramer's big conceptual art idea. The movie Crossroads, do you remember that movie? Ralph Macchio was a guitar player who at the end of the movie had to battle the devil's guitar player, who was played by Steve Vai. And if you remember, Ralph Macchio beat Steve Vai by playing Paganini's Fifth Caprice. That's how I learned about the piece. And this is kind of like me finally playing it, like actually pretty good, but of course I didn't play it. I wrote software to edit it together. So yeah, I mean, these things have been with me for a long time. To me, there's a lot of excitement in all of this. I mean, I'm like totally pumped making all of this.
So there you have it, Mr. Cory Arcangel, one of the most prolific voices in new media, art, and video game glitch art. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and in conclusion, I just want to say that